All right, man. Peace. So the NFL players, being led by the lead lemming, Colin Kaepernick, they've decided to take their woke initiative to the NFL owners in a direct meeting. This is due to Roger Goodell's memo, his statement that he wanted all NFL players to stand for the anthem. So now let's see how this proceeds. They're going to talk about it. Of course, I'm going to chime in.
A group of NFL players, owners, and Commissioner Roger Goodell met in New York yesterday to discuss various social issues. Colin Kaepernick was not at the meeting. His lawyer said Cap was invited by the players, but not by the NFL or any team executive. After the meeting yesterday, Goodell said players were not asked to commit to standing during the national anthem. That led to this tweet this morning from President Trump. The NFL has decided that it will not force players to stand for the playing of our national anthem. Total disrespect for our great country.
So what was Donald Trump saying when he sent out that tweet? What he was saying is that to the conservative Caucasians in middle America who make up most of my constituency and most of the NFL's viewership and attendance at the stadium, continue to make the NFL suffer for their insolence and their fear of making the players stand for the anthem. That's basically what he's saying. Once again, Colin Kaepernick was invited to the meeting by the players. He chose not to show up. Why is that? Because just as he showed as a quarterback for the 49ers before this whole issue came to the forefront, he's not a leader. Okay? He's not. And a lot of you guys, a lot of you pro-black dudes who want to hold him up and talk about him and he's the modern day Muhammad Ali, all this bullshit, you're going to figure that out in the long run. Even well, some of y'all will.
Country. Rob Parker is still with us, but Shannon, what happens next?
What happens next?
That's a good question. Home dinner, maybe a show?
Yeah, I've always thought that once we started talking about this issue, Colin Kaepernick took a knee for a very specific reason: police brutality and social and racial injustice in America.
Look, once again, brothers, look, I know a lot of the liberal pro-blacks come on my channel. They get mad when I say this. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know why you would expect the Caucasian to treat you the same way that he treats his own. I have no idea what that means. Now, our people have to be concerned with treating each other to the highest level of propriety. That's what we need to be concerned with. Not with the Caucasian and how the Caucasian views us or sees us or treats us. To hell with them. Your job as a so-called black man is to be as informed as possible. Is to lead your family the best way possible. And that starts by conducting yourself as well as you can and choosing the right woman and making sure that that woman understands that there's things that you're going to tolerate and that you're not going to tolerate. And if she can't deal with that, then she has to go. All right? Then we have our children, Lord willing, if you have children, and then you raise them up the best way that you can. That's it. It's not about looking to the Caucasian man to be treated equal. The so-called black man is in a situation here that no other nation of people on the planet is in. And if our people feel this strongly about the way the police treat our people, and there's a great deal of data to justify that feeling, then we should have our own police force and our own penal system and our own land, things of that nature. But you cannot have that until you have a culture. And people ask me, what are the answers or how are we going to get our own culture? The only way you get a culture is through a mass traumatic event. That's the only thing that's going to snap so-called blacks out of the infatuation that they have for the Caucasian and this society. That's it. You know, if you ever watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, remember they put Indiana Jones under mind control to worship the mother goddess Kali Ma by making him drink the blood. The only way he was able to snap out of it was when that little Chinese boy put fire on him. Right? That snapped him out of it. He had to be traumatized. Right? The so-called black man and woman are going to have to be traumatized to come out of this vortex. Okay? This condition, this quote-unquote oppression, as it's called by many.
Now, all these other various social issues that the commissioner and these owners keep talking about, but no one wants to address those specific issues.
Why would you think that it's the NFL's job to address racial, quote-unquote, racial injustice? Like, I don't get that. And people will try to say, well, look, they address breast cancer. Look, breast cancer is not an interracial issue. The sports leagues do not address interracial issues. That's like you saying, well, the NFL should address the issue between the Irish and the British over there in Britain. The beef that they have between the Protestants and the Catholics. They should address the issues between the Serbians and the Croats over in southeastern Europe. Like, give me a break.
Is where I have the problem. We can do all these meetings we want, but we know what they're trying to do here. I'm willing to pay in order for you to stand. I'll give you a little money for your foundation. I'll show that I care a little bit. But this, in the big picture, is about them getting them to stand for the national anthem.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Them not standing is affecting their bottom line.
And I said something earlier, Skip, and I want to go back and touch on it. The governor of Wisconsin said he wanted to see the players stand for the anthem and take a stand against domestic violence. Well, Skip, if you tell me what I should protest, you're telling me what's important to you, and you're diminishing it and undervalue what I'm originally protesting.
Hello, it's because on the liberal totem pole, you're at the very bottom, Shannon. That's why, sir. At the end of the day, the woman is above you on the liberal totem pole. I've stated that numerous times already on this channel. I don't know why a lot of brothers seem to have a hard time ingesting that. On the liberal totem pole, you are on the very bottom, so-called black man. All right? Our job is not to be confederate with any other group at all. The job of the so-called black man is to align himself back with the Most High, who he is a physical manifestation of here on the earth, and think like and conduct himself in like manner. It is not his job to be running around trying to combine forces with women's groups and gay groups and all this other dumb shit, which is just you saying I'm equal to you, so I'm gonna team up with you. You only team up with entities that you feel like you have an affinity with. These other groups, female groups, women's groups per se, and homosexual groups, these are people that have mental disorders. So when the so-called black man teams up with them, that's him saying, I have a mental disorder.
Domestic violence, and I'm saying it's terrible. But that's not the issue which Colin Kaepernick took a knee for.
But obviously, everybody's against domestic violence.
So can't everybody be against racial and social justice?
I don't know if everybody's against domestic violence. When a woman hits a man over the head with a frying pan, people don't view it the same as if a man lays hands on a woman. We know that. So I don't know if everybody is truly against domestic violence. This is why they tell a man there's never a reason to hit a woman. God forbid that you're in a situation where a woman is attacking you and you have to defend yourself. According to the stipulations of this society, there's never a reason to hit a woman, right? So I don't know if everybody's against domestic violence. When they say domestic violence, they really mean man-on-woman violence.
So basically, you're telling me everybody can get behind standing against domestic violence.
Yeah.
But this other stuff, what y'all talking about, come on now, we can't all get behind that. No. These owners, and Jerry, they say it was reported that Jerry was approached in the hotel by two protesters, and they asked Jerry about it. He says, "No, I wanted to hear what they wanted. I wanted to hear what they wanted to say and what they were talking about." Jerry, where you been? Those guys are kneeling. Okay, why did you think you knelt in Arizona before?
Well, Shannon, you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't get mad at Jerry Jones for saying that he wanted to hear the protesters out. But then if a report came that two protesters came to speak to Jerry Jones and Jerry said, I don't want to talk to him, I already know what they're going to say. Then you would have said, well, see that? That's why we can't get nowhere, Skip. Because they don't want to talk. They don't want to communicate. See, this is why I told you brothers before. The so-called liberal black male has the spirit of a woman. Okay? An angry, bitter woman who always just wants to argue over nonsense. Okay? This is why the Caucasian a lot of times don't want to talk to you. Proverbs 21:19 tells you it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a brawling and an angry woman, man. This is why people a lot of times they don't want to be around so-called black people because they always want to bitch and complain about stuff instead of trying to let's look within ourselves and say we don't need the so-called Caucasian. What do you need them for? Right? If you feel like they've been oppressing you for 400 years, why the hell you keep trying to covet their attention for?
Jerry didn't carry on a conversation with the protesters. He just listened.
Yeah, he wanted to hear what they had to say. Right. The guys in the NFL have been talking about this, Jerry, for the last 14 months. Colin Kaepernick, the very reason you're having this was because of what Colin Kaepernick did 14 months ago.
No, the reason why they're having this is because it's affecting their bottom line. The protest is affecting their bottom line. Okay? That's what it's about, Shannon.
And now we keep talking about, and look, I get it. We want to do mandatory minimums. We want to have, less sentencing, and we want the judge to have discretion. I get all that. That goes back to the 80s when the crack epidemic was ruining the inner cities. The mandatory minimum. That's when they put it in. The 3 strikes. That's when they put it in.
Look, the fact of the matter is that the prison industrial complex is directly correlated with the dissolution of the money system in the early 1900s. When they went to the Federal Reserve banking system and basically every person in America became money, now all of a sudden they're going to use you to generate money. Now that there's no gold or silver backing the currency, now you become currency. All right, you become a bond and a stock. And this is why it's necessary to throw people in prison. And, the best candidate to throw in prison is the so-called black man. You have a value that's placed on every charge that's levied against you. You have to work off that charge in the prison system. You work it off by providing cheap labor. That's what the prison industrial complex is about. Okay? So people have to understand the way that the system it was created. It wasn't created for the so-called black man's benefit. Once again, when you go back to the 40s and the 50s, the black man represented the lowest percentage of incarcerated men. Now he represents the highest, particularly since the civil rights movement. Okay? So obviously that civil rights movement, it wasn't to our benefit. It was to our detriment. This is why, if you ever go and you watch a movie like Shawshank Redemption, whenever you watch the prisoners in the prison yard, it's like 90% white people there. It wasn't but a couple black people even in the movie, one of them Morgan Freeman, because they knew that to accurately portray what prison life was like back in the 50s, you had to show majority black men. This image of the black man as a criminal, this emerged after the civil rights movement, really starting in the late 50s, going into the 60s, because that's when they started to implement the prison industrial complex, when they brought over a lot of the Nazi social engineers that they implanted as advisors in the White House. They're the ones who helped come up with the prison industrial complex. Okay?
Now that the opiate addiction is hitting Appalachia and hitting the Rust Belt, now all of a sudden we want to do away with mandatory minimums. All of a sudden we want to do away with 3 strikes. But back then when it was black America, we got to get tough. Now all of a sudden, jail, that's not the right. Rehab is the right way to go. This was, man, all I'm asking the players is this. They're trying to buy you into a position in which you stand. And you got to be careful of what you give, because I said it before. Givers must be careful of what they give, because takers are never.
I agree with that. You definitely have to be careful with what you concede. I'm not talking about in this situation. I'm talking about in life. Because most people out here, they're just, they're black holes. They just want to suck everything in. So, but, in regards to this situation, the players are not in a good situation, Shannon. At the end of the day, these guys are trying to negotiate with multi-billionaires who are producers. The players are going to try to negotiate. In the long run, they're only going to hurt themselves. They're following after a paper tiger, that being Colin Kaepernick. It's not going to do anything for them in the long run. But people have to learn the hard way. These liberal movements, they all end the same way, with the only people benefiting being the homosexuals and the women. That's all this is about. So once again, if you want to know what the Black Lives Matter movement is about, look at homosexuality and women. Those are the people who will be glorified by these liberal movements. It's not going to be the black man.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
This is where the term sellout comes from.
Yes.
This has gone on forever. It's like, okay, here's some money or whatever. Now you can go away, and this is the problem that we've had in the black community forever.
No, the problem that you have in the black community, quote unquote, forever, as you call it, is woeful ignorance to their history and woeful ignorance to their culture. People don't know their history and they don't know their culture. That's why you guys keep running around with the slave narrative stuff. When I say you guys, I'm not talking about all black people. I'm talking about most of the pro-blacks and the ones who think that white people are supposed to provide restitution for them. That's not going to happen. The average Caucasian in America is the descendant of white trash. Okay, a lot of their family came here as indentured servants or slaves. A lot of Caucasians were slaves as well. All right. And certain blacks came here. But once again, I'll go over that when I get to certain historical videos that I'm going to make. I know that I keep saying that, but once I start making the historical videos, then you guys will understand why it took so long. But the main issue is that our people, they just don't concentrate on what they need to concentrate on. They're always trying to concentrate on this globalist mentality of, if the white man can't get to the mountaintop with me, I don't want to go there. And this is why there's so much consternation. This is why Shannon Sharp, is about to bust a blood vessel in his forehead, because he gets on TV every day talking about Nicole Murphy, trying to act like he wants Nicole Murphy when everybody knows that he's with a white woman. So like, this is what I talk about when I talk about people trying to create this image for television. He has to talk about Nicole Murphy because he's created this image for himself as this pro-black dude on TV.
Because it's always, this is how you handle, this is how you quiet them down.
Give them a few
Give them
dollars.
a few dollars, and then they'll go on their way. And it can't be.
Yes, and you niggas will be the same way because you're getting your few dollars from Fox. Okay? We all know that Fox is renowned for being a conservative company. So if you niggas is really about what you're talking about, leave Fox Sports 1 and start your own black sports network. All right? Start it on YouTube. I bet you y'all ain't gonna do that shit.
Can't be about that. But I still believe that it's the owners who still have the onus that they need to acknowledge that they did something terribly wrong to Colin Kaepernick. That
They didn't do shit to Colin Kaepernick. How they did something wrong to him and he opted out? The fuck out of here.
that the guy did not break any laws, and they blackballed him for a reason that never should have happened, because the guy had a peaceful protest. This is really the center of it, and I don't believe until they own up to it, and whether it's a job for some team or some situation, what they did is they're the reasons we're here. Okay, Colin Kaepernick might have started, the fire, if you want to call it that, but the reason we're here is that they went and did something totally against everything we know about sports,
Right.
which is the best man gets a gig, right?
No, sir. Because if that was the case, Greg Hardy would be on somebody's defensive line right now. We know that the best man does not always get the gig. So that's bullshit. All right? Rob Parker, you own a barber shop. If you had a barber who was coming in and he stated that he was going to start protesting people having to wear clothes, and he's just going to cut hair with a T-shirt on and no drawers, you would say, you know what, you're fired. Even if he was the best barber in your barber shop. Okay? So let's not try to act like people do not make business decisions based on the bottom line. Okay? Because even if that man was the best barber in your barbershop, if he decided he was going to start cutting hair with no drawers on, ain't no man going to sit in his damn chair. So he's going to start losing money for your shop. So you're going to fire him. That's how it goes.
The best guy, even playing field, and the best guy gets a job. And what they did was totally wrong, and you can't feel good about it. And I think until
I feel fine about it. I don't give two shits about what Colin Kaepernick is talking about. All he wants is a damn hug. Okay? That's all he wants is a damn hug from them, and all he's trying to do is promote so-called Black Lesbians Matter movement. That's all he's doing. What he's doing has nothing to do with the so-called black man. I promise you that. And a lot of brothers that's getting caught up with his bullshit, y'all gonna realize it in the long run. Okay? A lot of you guys are gonna realize the same way that a lot of you guys were upset initially with the Jamel Hill stuff. Oh, Jamel Hill is riding for black people. As soon as the real truth came out about her, which I was saying for the longest time, because I know how the black liberal woman is, okay? All they're about is feminism. All of a sudden, a lot of you guys got butthurt. The black man, brothers got to raise up their level of perception so that they understand what's going on out here around them.
until they could at least own up to that with the Kaepernick situation, or maybe give him a job, I think that would help to solve things right away. Not that it would cure all, but it would help because people feel like he was wrong and he didn't.
What people feel like that? You mean the internet revolutionaries? Man, please.
Didn't do anything wrong. This is the same league that takes felons and women abusers and child abusers and
guys that have killed
people, everything. And this guy can't play in the league.
I just want to skip, and I want you to take it from here. I just want to hear Commissioner Goodell and one of the owners say the police brutality against unarmed people of color and the racial and social injustice in America needs to change.
Well, you wait for that, brother. I hope that happens for you. Hold your breath until that happens. You're already dark-skinned, so I'm sure you're going to turn purple if you start holding your breath and wait for that. When you have NFL owners who are directly aligned not only to the military, but also to the police, to their local police departments. Many of these police provide security for them on Sundays. A lot of these police are also their personal security guards. So you go ahead and wait for that shit to happen, bro. Good luck with that.
And the reform and the legislation that we need to get passed. When they say that, I will start taking them serious.
How about this? All those NFL players who are wasting their time getting on one knee in your local city, you get a conglomerate together in each city, and you go and you protest in front of your police department until your local police chief, until you get that legislation moved, and then you go before your city legislation and hopefully your state legislation, and you try to get laws passed to provide some type of police reform, so that when these cops shoot a so-called black man unarmed, that when they are relieved of duty, that they go without pay. All right, that's where you start at.
Until then, you're trying to buy my silence, and I ain't for sale.
Okay, I'm not gonna.
Your ass is for sale. That's why you on Fox Sports 1.
I'm gonna overvalue this, but just for the record and in fairness to Roger Goodell, he did, for what it's worth, co-sign with Doug Baldwin a letter yesterday to the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it's going right down the path that you want it to go down, because this is in support of the Sentencing Reform and Corrections Act. It's about lessening the penalty for nonviolent offenders. Okay, so it's something that it's going the right direction.
Yeah, in other words, Doug Baldwin is another woke Negro from playing for Seattle, who wants to lessen the penalty for quote-unquote non-violent offenders. What that really means is weed heads and guys who are selling drugs. Let's try to get them off. And a brother sent me a very good link to an article. I believe it's the user, the brother S. Maurice Lilly. He sent me a good link where he was talking about how that whole thing is a Trojan horse anyway. All that's going to do is aid them in the prison industrial complex. Brothers, look, the prison industrial complex is closely linked with the American economy. Okay? The American economy is a debt-based, a credit-based system where they have to pay back the international bankers through the Federal Reserve, and they keep you continuously in debt by printing money with no gold or silver backing it. That's why you have what's called inflation. Okay? That's why the gross national debt goes up every year. That's why we're at, I don't even know where we're at now, 25 trillion, some shit like that. It's based off of an economic paradigm that was really laid out by Karl Marx, but perfected by a man named John Maynard Keynes. And I'll probably cover him in another video.
Is it just lip service? Is it just grandstanding by Roger Goodell?
Skip, if I send you to the grocery store to get milk and eggs and you come back with potato chips, what the hell have you done for me?
Well, if you only gave that person enough money to buy potato chips, that's all they're going to bring back. Okay, Shannon? If you ask somebody to go get milk and eggs, but you don't give them enough money to get milk and eggs, and you don't tell them what milk and eggs look like, all they're going to bring back is what they know how. When you're trying to get NFL owners to get into racial discussions and they have no experience in racial issues and they really cannot have an emotional affinity for what you're going through, they're not going to be able to help you out. That's how that goes, bruh.
That's not the issue that's not what I sent you to the grocery store for.
But it's.
And once again, Colin Kaepernick didn't get on one knee for the NFL owners to help the black man out of his issues. He got down on one knee. He said until there was equality in America. So the issue that he had was with the U.S. government. It wasn't with the NFL owners. All right. This has metastasized into an issue with the NFL owners because the NFL owners have come out against him.
But it's going down the right path toward reforming the system that is unfair to black people in America, right?
I want the policy. I want legislation with how police deal with people of color. I want the social and racial injustice in America. This mandatory minimum now, the opiate is bigger than the crack epidemic. And it's hitting Appalachia and the Rust Belt states. So Ohio and the Pennsylvanias and all the states that voted for you know who is being affected now. So now it benefits them.
Okay. So, back.
Shannon Sharp, brother, if you that frustrated by the racial inequities, you have to look within yourself. The reason why you're so frustrated is because you're looking to the Caucasian to treat you with equality. You want his love. And this is what a lot of black men who get this frustrated don't get. The reason why you brothers get so mad is because you want the white man to love you. When you let go of that lust for the Caucasian man's love and acceptance, it will go a long way in allowing you to see things from a three-dimensional perspective and stop being so emotionally fragile and dependent on, the validation of others. This is a very, very bad situation that men like Shannon Sharp are in.
Back to your point. Hypothetically,
And Skip Bayless is basically trying to say, look, they're already trying to pass legislation. They're doing way more than one would ever think that they would have ever been involved in. So you should be happy with that. That's Skip Bayless' stance, but he knows that Shannon's not going to be happy with that. Shannon is another agent of chaos. He wants, he's basically one of these people who, whatever you do, he wants more. Because basically he can't get on TV and say that's good enough because that's not good for his brand.
if Colin Kaepernick had had a job from the start of this regular season, would that have ended this? I don't think it would have advanced the cause of the plight of the black community in America.
No. But Skip, but I think the punishment for what it's this is the part that I think that got to people, is that he was finally, here's a high profile guy finally speaking up for the black community when so many other black athletes have turned their back on the community.
That is not true at all. So many black athletes have been going to black communities and doing the best that they could based off of their mental acuity and ability to do so, whether it's helping kids with clothing or book bags for school or giving money back or starting foundations. You cannot expect a man just because he can jump 40 inches in the air to solve black people's issues. Okay? That is not their job. What you're really saying is that there is a dearth of black male leadership, which really means that there is a dearth of black male instruction. Okay? That's the real issue. Just because LeBron James or Dwayne Wade have won 3 championships, it doesn't mean that they're qualified to speak about so-called black issues. Once again, that is only a reflection of the dearth of black male teaching. Right? Brothers are not getting taught anything. This is why they want to sit up in front of a video game screen all day and vegetate.
Right. So then his reward or he gets punished.
Banishment.
And you say to yourself, really? This guy didn't, every time I hear, and I've heard it a million times about the fans, my God, do black fans not count at all, Skip?
Well, if you only make up, 12% of the U.S. population, and you look at the NFL, what's in the stands, probably about 95% of the people in the stands are Caucasian. The main constituency of fans is going to be Caucasian. They're going to cater to their, to their constituency base. I mean, that's basic business. Our people have to count for us. We can't worry about the white man thinking that we count.
Do we not count? I just don't. Because
Patriotism. And I told you, and I said this.
I don't get it.
You and I, Skip, and I give Skip credit.
It's clear you don't get it.
Skip credit. Because when we opened our show September 6th of last year, we talked about Colin Kaepernick, and I really thought it was going to be a one-time thing. And I said, Skip, thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about it.
Talk about it, right?
I said, Skip, I called him. I said, Skip, thank you. And then we kept going. We've been one of the few platforms on television, and Skip is the main reason. Because a lot of times,
once again, the black liberal, he must always give the Caucasian man credit for allowing him to speak. Please pay attention to the way he said, allowing me to speak on this issue. Okay? In other words, Shannon Sharp didn't say I can create a social media platform and speak on this issue however I want. Skip allowed me to speak. Once again, he is controlled by the framework of Fox. So, as usual, when these black liberals speak, you must listen, because they reveal what the true conventions are in regards to how, they express themselves and how they're allowed to.
Sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to. And even I've had family members call me like, well, Shannon, you're going to talk. I was like, look, Skip is going to give me this opportunity. I'm going to take full advantage of it. But for them to say, all of a sudden now he can't play. When they come get quarterbacks out of retirement, they
out
go
of arena football
they go get
leagues, they've done
quarterbacks that haven't
everything.
thrown a pass in 2 and 3 years. And now it's like, well, he wanted too much money. Like I said, I have a very unique perspective. I've been very fortunate to be able to bridge a relationship with Colin Kaepernick. But I also know some people at teams. I know that Colin didn't know I knew that he had reached out to teams. When you reach out, money isn't the issue. I also know what teams were thinking. So for everybody to say, well, he wanted $9 million. And then there are people like, well, if you think Colin Kaepernick can come in 1 week's time and go out there and learn the offense and compete, okay, what quarterback can?
Nobody.
Can Tom Brady go get Aaron Rodgers' offense and be as effective in that offense as the guy to replace it?
Well, wait a minute. If Colin Kaepernick is reaching out to teams, then how come when Baltimore wanted to sign him, he allowed his woman to send that tweet out? How come he didn't get in contact with the Baltimore Ravens and say, look, don't pay any attention to what she did. I just shut her down. I want to come in for an interview. Somebody's lying.
No, but you put these unrealistic expectations on Colin to make it look like he can't play. Well, he can't learn an offense in a week. Well, no one can learn an offense in a week. That's why.
Look, that's not even an issue. If he comes onto a team, he's going to be a backup anyway. He's not going to have to learn the offense in a week. The issue is that it's going to affect their financial bottom line.
That's why you don't really see the trade that you see in basketball and football.
And now back to our president, who continues this relentless attack against the protesting players of the National Football
Yes.
League, because it's a pretty brilliant scheme on his part,
It is.
strategy, because
As I've already stated, it was brilliant. But let me see how Skip assesses it.
popularity waning, to put it mildly, and all of a sudden I'm looking at a poll carried by the New York Times, and back in September, 25% of Trump's who voted for him viewed the NFL somewhat or very unfavorably. All of a sudden we see a big spike in October because he's on the attack, and all of a sudden those who voted for him, it's up to 60% now view the NFL in somewhat or very unfavorable light.
Right.
That's stunning. So President Trump is saying, good for me.
Right, as I stated, initially when they showed that tweet that Trump sent, why did he send that tweet? Because that was his way of communicating to his fan base, which also makes up the majority of the viewership of the NFL. Since the NFL does not want to make these players stand, then that shows that you should not support the NFL.